Two big storms will be coming to the United States over the next 7 days, and these will bring some problems, including the potential for several inches to even feet of snow across parts of the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Northeast. In addition to that, we'll also be watching for some severe weather potential as we go into early next week, and another Arctic blast will be moving through the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and all the way through the east coast of the United States over the next few days, and this could bring some feel-like temperatures down below 0 degrees by Friday morning. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 to 10 days. And let's begin with what's happening across the country this morning. And we actually have a little bit more happening than what we've had the last few days. We do have a little bit of moisture right now coming out of the Pacific Ocean, which is going to lead to some showers and thunderstorms today across parts of Texas and Louisiana. I wouldn't actually rule out an isolated tornado this evening back over in southwest Louisiana or southeast Texas. At the time I'm recording this forecast, there's no risk outlined, but it is something I'd be keeping a close eye on tonight. Also, we have a winter storm that is developing right now across parts of the Great Lakes. For the time being, most of this is just light snowfall that's falling in Michigan, Wisconsin, and even parts of Illinois, but this will ramp up into something a little bit bigger as we go into tonight and as well as into tomorrow morning. Now, we are expecting two different large storms to impact the United States over the next 7 days, and this right here is one of them. And what are we actually looking at? Well, this right here is a pocket of very cold air that is currently moving across the Great Lakes, and we are going to feel a big cool down out of this, which we'll talk more about later in this forecast. But this is called an Alberta Clipper, and essentially what this is going to be entailing is the potential for snowfall across parts of the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Northeast over the next 48 to 72 hours. And it's also going to bring a big cool down to areas like the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and as well as the Northeast, and it could even drop down as far south as areas like Florida. And we are going to talk more about temperatures in just a moment, but these will be the feel-like temperatures waking up tomorrow morning. You are going to need a winter jacket. We're going to have many areas sub-zero for feel-like temperatures, from areas like Indiana and Ohio all the way back through the Dakotas, with many areas in Canada dropping 30 below zero for feel-like temperatures. And we're going to feel this cold weather even down into areas like Florida, by the way. As we go into Friday into Saturday, we could see some areas to go into freezing temperatures as well by the weekend. Now, the first storm that we're going to be talking about is this Alberta Clipper, which is already bringing some snowfall to parts of Canada and also the Great Lakes, but it's really not at its peak right now. It's going to ramp up over the next 24 hours, and you'll see that the snow is going to become much more enlarged in terms of coverage across parts of the Northeast and the Ohio Valley by tonight. So areas like Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and back into the Northeast will be dealing with some snowfall tonight and as well as we go into tomorrow morning. And then eventually, as this moves throughout the Northeast, we'll see some snowfall throughout the day Thursday. And then as we go into Thursday night into Friday, lake effect snow will become a big problem for parts of Michigan and as well as parts of the Lake Erie region that's already dealt with a ton of snow. Some areas picking up as much as 70 inches of snow over the last few days. And then eventually by the weekend, things will start to dry off, and then another big storm will come into play, which we're going to talk more about here in just a few minutes. Let's talk more about this localized snow event as we go throughout the day today back over in the Midwest. Not a whole lot of snow this morning, mostly just some light flurries across Wisconsin, maybe even back over in Iowa by lunchtime. Eventually, as we go later into the afternoon, snow is going to ramp up in coverage very quickly, especially across Michigan, where we are going to have the potential for some lake effect snowfall across parts of western Michigan, and this could potentially produce some accumulation. We might see 4 to 8 inches in some areas tonight, and eventually by the time we go into late tonight, we actually could have some snow squalls moving across parts of Ohio and even northern Kentucky and eastern Indiana. What that means is that visibility will drop very quickly, heavy snow will happen, but it's going to be a very quick moving event. So this is kind of like a severe storm in a way, but it's for snow instead. So those areas, just be mindful of that tonight. And eventually, as we go into tomorrow morning, this lake effect snow will continue across parts of western Michigan and also the upper peninsula of Michigan. This will eventually taper down as we go into late Thursday night and into early Friday morning. So it's not going to be a super long-lasting event. It should be about a 24-hour event. But with that said, we are going to see plenty of snowfall, especially in western Michigan and northern Michigan, where we are expecting a widespread 4 to 8 inches of snow. And there will be a few isolated locations that get over a foot of snow. I would expect the greatest amount probably being somewhere there in southwestern Michigan, just to the south of Kalamazoo. Now, back over in the Northeast, we already have some snow falling this morning, but it's pretty light and it's also very isolated for the time being. This is going to ramp up a lot by the evening. Look at how much snow is going to start to fall right after sunset tonight. Light to moderate snowfall for most of the Northeast, so this will not be accumulating very quickly. And it's also going to be a wet snow, so we're not expecting quick accumulations. However, by the evening into the overnight hours, the snow will start to ramp up in coverage and intensity. More moderate to heavy snowfall will be falling across New England. Our rain and snow line line will be right here. So the coastal regions in Maine and back over into the southeast New England, I'm not really expecting a whole lot when it comes to any sort of accumulation or any snow really in general, probably until sometime Thursday. So notice how that snow continues. Again, the potential for some snow squalls will exist back over in Pennsylvania, New York, and West Virginia. Snow continues across New York. Again, it's going to be mostly scattered and as well as numerous at times. It's not going to be necessarily widespread, so there will be some breaks in the action. By the time we wake up on Thursday morning, some heavy pockets of snow back over in New York. Snow will start to move out of New England. It'll become more scattered in nature. That rain and snow line will continue to be pretty stubborn there across eastern Massachusetts, but we'll get probably a little bit of snow during the afternoon Thursday once the colder air moves in, and then lake effect snow will start to ramp up back over near Lake Erie and Lake Ontario during the late afternoon Thursday and eventually into the evening. I don't think this event is going to be a multi-day event like what we just saw either back over in Lake Ontario or Lake Erie, but it will be something that will accumulate some snowfall Thursday and as well as into early Friday morning. Now, in terms of total snowfall accumulation, there will be plenty of snowfall. It's not a huge winter storm by any means for most of the Northeast, but it will be something that brings a pretty decent amount of snow. It's something that you might get excited for if you're looking for some snow right now. Plenty of snow back over near Lake Ontario. I think this will be our jackpot for snowfall accumulation, over a foot of snow near Watertown, and a lot of that will not even be from lake effect snow. And then back over here near Lake Erie, same thing goes. A lot of that will be lake effect snow over here and some snow squalls. Northeast Ohio will pick up 1 to 4 inches of snow with a few spots picking up more than that. Northern New England will also be another place that will pick up 8 to 12 inches of snow. Could even see an isolated location over that. And then over in central New England and southern New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and northern Connecticut, I would expect 1 to 3 inches of snowfall in those areas. It will probably melt pretty quickly though after this is all said and done. Now our next storm is going to be a bit more progressive. It's actually already started. It's back over in the southern plains, and it's mostly going to be just a band of moisture that's going to build as we get closer to Friday into Saturday. And you're going to notice it's just going to be some showers, maybe a few thunderstorms Friday into Saturday across parts of Texas. But this will eventually build into something a little bit bigger, I think, as we go into the late weekend and into early next week. Here's the thing that we're going to be really watching for out of this. It obviously doesn't look impressive at first, but I do think there's going to be some rain and also the potential for some severe weather, and we also could see flooding rain out of this. Severe weather is a question mark, but I do think it'll be a possibility, especially if we get enough of a southerly wind, enough wind shear, and also enough instability. Those are all questionable at this point, but there is a chance that this could be our next severe weather event, and it is the time of the year that we do see Dixie Alley severe weather outbreak, so it is something that we'll have to watch for. But for the time being, as we go into Sunday into Monday, this is just a big band of rain with some showers and thunderstorms associated with that. Now, once we go into Monday and Tuesday, that is where questions arise, because this is obviously still 5 days out, so things could change. Right now, the GFS just has this as a large blob of rain from the Gulf Coast to the Northeast, with some snow on the very far northern side of this trough. But here's the thing, there could be some changes to this. The GFS model initially, a few days ago, showed more of a winter storm component across the Midwest. It's not showing that now, but it could definitely change back to showing something like that. The other thing that I'm definitely still more confident on is that we're going to have some shot of severe weather sometime Sunday into Monday across the Dixie Alley. So the question obviously does remain, will we see a winter storm out of this, or will there be some big snow component to this? I think there is a chance for that, but again, at this point, it's too hard to tell because we are still over 5 days out, and there's obviously not enough confidence there that it will be something like that. The European model, on the other hand, does have a little bit more of a winter weather event back over in the upper Midwest and Canada, and it also has a more materialized trough by Tuesday of next week, bringing a better shot for heavy snowfall across parts of the Midwest. Even though it's a brief shot of snow, it is obviously something to watch for. So there are a couple of scenarios here. I think there's definitely a chance that we could see a more significant winter storm depending on the evolution of this trough, so that'll be something to watch for. But again, for the time being, we're not looking at a big winter storm out of our second trough. I think the bigger story will be the potential for flooding rain and severe weather for the Gulf Coast. Now, there will be some instability as we go into Saturday into Sunday. Again, a lot of it right now that the GFS model is showing is confined to the Gulf of Mexico or barely going up here into the Mississippi Valley. Now, granted, we don't need a whole lot of instability, but we're not really seeing an instability axis that develops, which means that there isn't a whole lot of storm fuel as we go into early next week. But there could be some changes there. I do think there will be a chance for severe weather. It's just going to depend on the magnitude of that. Now, in terms of snowfall accumulation between now all the way through early next week, again, most of the snow that we're going to see is going to be confined to the upper Midwest, northern Ohio Valley, and the Northeast, and also back in the northern plains and throughout the Rocky Mountains, which is obviously pretty typical for this time of the year. The temperature trends, again, we're going to see this big shot of cold air tonight into tomorrow morning, so it's going to get pretty cold across the East Coast, Ohio Valley, and the Northeast. Eventually, as we go into the weekend, things are going to start to warm back up again, and we actually could be dealing with some record-breaking heat back over in the Midwest Midwest and the Northern Plains by Sunday. I know this is a crazy weather pattern. And eventually, as we go into next week, things do become a bit more uncertain, but we'll probably get another shot of cold air as long as a trough does form. So again, we'll keep you posted with the latest on this particular storm. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon so you're notified with our latest updates. We will keep you posted with the latest on this. Also, follow us on Twitter and Facebook at MaxVelocityWX. The links to those are in the description. We post more rapid fire updates there, so if there are any major changes, we'll obviously let you know on those platforms. Also, if you are in Europe or the United States, the last day to pick up any merch on ShopMaxVelocity.net and to guarantee delivery before Christmas is going to be December 10th. So if you want anything, the link is at the top of the description at ShopMaxVelocity.net. We have 4 collections, including our Happy Holidays collection, Flying Trampoline merch, Drunknado merch, and our Max Velocity collection. And thank you to anybody that has picked up merch on our store recently. These designs, the more recent ones, are hand-drawn by a designer that we have, so you're supporting both us and as well as our designer. So I really appreciate your support.